I don't know if you were watching, I hope you were watching or listening yesterday, but if you weren't, fear not. We were talking about the huge the spike in shoplifting. Co-op was the one that came out and actually said that they'd been forced to invest more than £200 million in recent years in colleague and community safety to counter criminal behaviour. Per store, that equates to 4 times the average sector spend on security and safety measures. They had like CCTV cameras, body-worn cameras, communication headsets for staff, covert, non-covert guiding and security, GPS security, he says dummy packaging, all of this to combat shoplifting, because Co-op recorded the highest level of shoplifting in its history, logging about 1,000 incidents of retail crime, theft and antisocial behaviour every day in the past 6 months across its stores. So we were talking about why this is, and we heard from the independent stores that often it's mum and pop and granny and what have you, who've been to the shop many, many times and just stealing one thing. Often it was things like soap powder. And again, in a past show we did about poverty, where people can't afford soap powder and things like that. They can't wash. They can't go to work. Their children are bullied at school and so on. So we were asking about how do you counteract that? Well, comes news today, the follow-up. Home Office officials have apparently drawn up secret plans to lobby the independent privacy regulator in an attempt to push the rollout of the controversial facial recognition technology into high street shops and supermarkets. They want to use facial recognition, and some places already are, in order to cut down on shoplifting. Now, apparently this covert strategy was agreed during a closed-door meeting on the 8th of March. This is in The Observer, between this private firm, FaceWatch. Now, it's a development which ignores critics which claim the technology breaches human rights and is biased. Now, let me just tell you, facial recognition technology has provoked widespread criticism and scrutiny, with the European Union moving to ban the technology in public spaces through its upcoming Artificial Intelligence Act. However, they want to do away with that. They want to sort of circumvent that in the UK. Good idea or bad? Joining me now is Andrew Eborn, who's a barrister, broadcaster and futurist. Andrew, it's a worry, because we know with facial recognition there are a lot of problems with it, especially, I've got to say, with people of colour. It can wrongly profile people. Is it the way to go? Is Big Brother Watch, the organisation, says it's yet another chipping away at our civil liberties, because everything goes onto a database. Should we be scared of it?
Oh, you should absolutely be scared. What it is, lovely to be with you again, Trisha. I'm here live at the Magic Circle of all places, the home of 1,000 secrets, where we have all sorts of glorious magicians. We're celebrating David Berglass's 97th birthday as well. But it's interesting you talk about facial recognition, because what you have to do is firstly understand the technology. And the basic thing is that you can basically manipulate that sort of data, where they got profiling of people who can turn around and say, this is what's going to happen. These are the sort of people who might basically be likely to commit a crime. And what it does, it alerts the stores in terms of that sort of situation as to potential risks on that basis. So I think the more that we can understand that, the better we are in terms of those sort of technologies. The problem is about privacy. Because the reality is that you, as you correctly said in your brilliant introduction, it could wrongly profile and predict certain behavior from other people. And it's exactly working on that sort of premise. So what's happening at the moment with saying it's been banned, or they're banning it in the EU, talking about AI and how that might be able to work on that sort of premise. But we're basically going to try and look at if we can make it make sense here in the UK. And various people, people like Sports Direct, they started using it for the Notting Hill Carnival this year, and also during the coronation, to spot troublemakers and potential troublemakers. And I've seen this technology. As you know, I go round the world and I talk to various big organizations about what the technology can achieve and also the potential for the future. So what happens is you're looking at that sort of principle, where can this go, but understand the potential risks as well.
So, I mean, would they have to tell you? I mean, there are some businesses who already use facial recognition. Do they actually have to put signs up, prominent signs that they do this?
Well, two things is obviously we get CCTV footage more than everything. There's cameras virtually every yard that you step in London. And I also said this last time I joined you on your brilliant show, we talked about the new currency is data. And all of these products that you're giving away, if you're getting them for free, then you are the product. So it's being aware of that situation. So you're absolutely right. What should happen is you should tell people that they're going to be recorded. But it's worse than that, because what it's doing is profiling people. So it's but basically, if you look at the retail organization, they talk about the millions that are lost in theft. And what they can do, they can work out there's about 10 or 20 people, this is what the statistics say, 10 or 20 of the same people go to the same shops and nick stuff every single week. What they can now do is warn the shopkeepers. Doesn't mean they're going to commit a crime, but they may do, so they're going to be extra alert.
But wouldn't you think that shopkeepers, especially where we were talking to the independent shops, shopkeepers would know those people anyway? I mean, there's a story in the newspaper of a garden centre, and they know an elderly lady always comes in and steals, but they don't whisk her off to the police because the police are nowhere to be found. But they take her aside and have a word, and usually people are so mortified. The average person is not tied to a gang. Is so mortified they won't do it again. But the thing about facial recognition is, surely if it's used in one place, a shop, it can be used elsewhere.
Yeah, and it's worse than that. So I go along to these technology fairs and we look at what's going to happen in the future. And it can predict not just people on the database, but human behavior based on body language, based on facial expressions, whether somebody's going to be angry, whether they're going to cause problems. And it can alert the people, hang about, this person could be difficult, be very, very wary.
But then what if you're not difficult? That I mean, this is, it's supposing all sorts of things. And surely, and we talked about deep fake and what have you, surely, and we know, for people to say, oh, that won't happen. We know that databases have been hacked into, like, for instance, National Health Service. We know banking cards, every so often somebody's, data is leaked and what have you. So surely once somebody's used facial recognition on you, it can be used for nefarious reasons.
Oh, without a doubt. And that's the problem. Last time I was on your show, we talked about deep fakes and how you can have the Pope, you might remember, wearing a puffer jacket. And I said, well, if the devil loves Prada, well, the Pope prefers a puffer. And you see Donald Trump being arrested, and you remember the fake Drake and The Weeknd and all that sort of collaboration. So AI can be used for creating all sorts of things. I also question everything, which is why it's so appropriate to be at the home of the magic circle and looking at that sort of principle where you're getting that, where you have to believe that the unbelievable is possible. So I think that's the interesting thing. Look at what the technology does and how we can utilize that, but be very, very wary of the risk. I pointed out last time, Stephen Hawking, he said, look, AI could be the greatest human achievement, but also the biggest potential existential threat. So it's understanding the technology, understanding what it can do, but what's going to happen to you and your rights.
But then to talk about Big Brother, I mean, Big Brother the movie, Big Brother the concept, Big Brother the book, a lot of these decisions will have already been made at certain levels and we won't even know about them.
No, you're absolutely right. So what's happening is that the relevant retailers are complaining that they're losing millions. So this is one potential solution. The people from a retail market are putting pressure on the government to say, let's use this technology. We understand its power. If this can help reduce the risk of theft, then let's do it. And also, I think if people work out, there are many places that use dummy CCTV cameras. And what happens is it basically it reduces the likelihood of crime because people think they're going to be recorded. I don't know if you travel on a bus, I understand, but some people do. You travel on a bus, they've got CCTV footage everywhere now. And the downstep in crime as a result of it is quite dramatic. So it's looking at that sort of stuff. I think if we scare people enough, tell them this is what the technology can do, then it will make a big, big difference.
But here's the thing, Andrew. On one hand, all of the shops are talking about, and quite rightly so, there's been, I think it's linked with the cost of living crisis, because even if you're talking about gangs, they're stealing that stuff because they know they can sell it on to people who can't afford it full price. But here's the thing. More and more shops now, and talking about the future, have these self-checkouts. Isn't that asking for trouble?
I was totally asking for trouble because you have them in several stores now. You have a camera, which is looking at you while you're doing your self-checkout. The other thing is the worry, the increase in fraud because AI can mimic people's voices. So if your bank phones you up and it sounds as though it's the normal person speaking, then the difficulty is you're going to have all sorts of fraud on that sort of basis. And you get these texts. A lot of people get a text saying, hello, it's me, I'm mum. I'm stuck. Can you send me lots of money? And they've been told it's their daughter or whatever, or their son or some sort of relative. It's going to get worse than that because now you can fake people's voices. And if you get a phone call from a loved one saying, I'm really stuck here, I need you to send me money, here's the bank, it's a different bank because I've got problems with my bank, that's the time to be worried. So that's what I say is you've got to question everything. We've got to be really, really dangerous.
And we've, had many cases where people have phoned back their loved ones and they said, I haven't rung you, so they know that it's AI. But just coming back to the supermarkets, self-scanners, right? When you go through, you don't have to go through a checkout. They're increasing more and more and more. Some supermarkets don't even have the old-fashioned cashier. So they're trusting us more with those, and yet they're complaining about people nicking things. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. Surely it's harder to get things past the cashier than it is one of those scanning machines.
Well, I mean, you could be right, make a great point on that, but the reality is if something's filming you, the cashier, you can disguise things so they won't be able to see everything. You put something in your pocket, great way, misdirection, as say with the home of the magic circle, it's quite appropriate. But if you turn around, the camera's following you and it's working out everything that you do, it works on that basis. Some hotels at the moment, if you go in now and you lift up your bag of peanuts, it monitors that and tells reception you've got a bag of peanuts, you've taken it out. So you can then put that on your bill. All of that stuff's going to happen. We're going to get smarter and smarter with technology to make sure that things are limited in that way. So that's the way to do it, to surveillance on that sort of principle.
What is, I know you're at a magic circle where things can disappear. Is it what is your worry? I mean, everybody talks about AI and jobs disappearing. I mean, is that a reality, or are there certain jobs that you can look at today? I mean, just looking back at telephones, once upon a time they employed all of those people to plug a wire into to put you into different exchanges. Bam, that all went. But what are some of the jobs at greatest threat of AI?
Well, loads of jobs. Goldman Sachs said that 300 million jobs are going to be lost through AI. At the moment in Hollywood, there's an actors' strike together with the writers' strike. The first time since 1960. And one of the things they're really worried about is AI replacing them. And it's particularly about background artists. You can film somebody for one day, get all of their image, get their voice and so on and so forth, and you can replicate that in several different movies forever. And what the Actors Union is saying over there is, hang about, this is unfair because they're offering them just one day's pay. Now, you give somebody one day's pay and use it forever. You never need to use that on that sort of basis. I mentioned about Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis, as you know, has aphasia, which means that he can no longer act, unfortunately. But wisely, what he did was license his image together with his voice to use for a Russian telecom company. And he made millions as a result of that. I also deal with holograms, and you can get brilliant art. We've got a thing called ABBA, the wonderful thing over in East London at the moment. But you can go and see young versions of ABBA performing their greatest hits.
Yes, that's right. That is going to be
it's brilliant. So that's where the future of entertainment is, using that sort of side, using technology to make sure that happens. But the key to it is making sure that people are properly rewarded on that sort of basis.
Absolutely. Well, neither you nor I are AI or holograms. I hear you're at the Magic Circle.
The Magic Circle, brilliant, surrounded with wonderful. Do you want to see a trick? Shall I? I've got Magic Singh here, who's amazing. And show something. Oh, very good. Show us something quick.
All right, very quick. So I've got tickets here. They're not the winning ones, unfortunately, but I found an amazing thing you can do with just the tickets alone. All it is one snap, and we can literally turn all of those into cash. Oh, look at that. I've got another one over there as well, and another there as well.
Brilliant stuff. There you go.
And I'll turn it into money. Well, there you are. Thank you. Thank you. Every single person, please do not ring in for that cash. Don't you wish you could turn cards into cash? We'd all be spending our money on buying decks of cards. That was Andrew Eborn, barrister, broadcaster and futurist.